This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
The biggest icon in podcasting.
It's the end of 2021, baby. I am the Doc, John Macaroon. Joining me for the latest episode of Doc and Jock is my cousin, my favorite dude, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. Lots to get into. It's bowl week. Maybe the college football playoff will go off without a hitch. We shall see. Could Michigan be without one of their premier players? A big secret ahead of the Orange Bowl. I can't wait to break it all down. It seems like the Peach Bowl is just an afterthought. I got an interesting stat to share with all of you regarding the comparisons in demand for the Orange Bowl versus the Peach Bowl. So we'll talk about all of that, break down the Detroit Lions, some fun jokes regarding the year that was, all of that. Here to recap it all with me, our guy, Adam Strozinski. What's up, cuz? What's going down?
What's up, cuz? How was Christmas, man?
It was awesome. Always get a chance to enjoy the holiday, take a week off from the practice. Got to see you, have a good time with it. And it was nice and cozy on Christmas Eve. Christmas was fun. It was just nice to spend some time with the family, kind of irregardless of stress and things like that. Man, just lightening the load a little bit really does help. I think with the Lions, things have kind of slowed down for the past 4 weeks. I mean, you see the coverage. We're talking about the future, free agents, the draft, starting to review the year that was. The stuff that's going on in the present has been really irrelevant. The hardest day during the week is game day because there's a lot of coverage, but it really started to wind down in regards to the Lions. It's already, most people have turned the page to next year. So Christmas just was a chance to relax. And I hate to admit it because most people love the social aspect of covering sports. The final 2 weeks of the NFL, the COVID protocols have been shifted, so all the coverage is virtual. So in line with my vacation, I get to stay my ass at home, ask the questions via Zoom, turn off the camera if I don't feel like participating and listening passively, and it makes it so much better to not have to stay in the garage there at Allen Park. So all in all, that fell into place with the sports coverage in that everything's kind of slowing down, and we're just kind of waiting to see. The biggest story I think that's going to come this year in sports is Michigan, Georgia.
Yeah, I think it'll probably be the biggest thing that we have to talk about, at least right before the end of the year. But it's got to be nice that now you get to do, you love the Zoom call. Like, Zoom has changed your life, I think, more than just about anybody that I know. So you've got to love the Zoom calls, not having to basically, like you said, go down to Allen Park. And when you get to Allen Park, they shuffle you into either a garage or they shuffle you into some other waiting room or they shuffle you into some type of media room that's kind of haphazardly put together. So this has to be 10 times better for you, especially with you not having to work this week, taking the week off just to focus on the Lions. It's good that you get to recharge and basically refocus for what's coming up. Could you imagine, though, if the Lions actually put a decent product on the field and we're winning football games and we're in contention for a playoff spot and could get into the playoffs? Could you imagine how it would be revving up right now? Could you imagine if you were a team, we'll say, like the Atlanta Falcons, who are on the outside of the playoffs looking in, or if you were a team like the Green Bay Packers who are fighting for a number 1 overall seed and a bye in the playoffs? Could you imagine how ratcheted up that would be?
I would love to look at playoff matchups, seedings, talk about potential matchups, which teams the Lions would face off against with best. Instead, what do we get? A midweek article about which last place teams we're going to face next year in the schedule, which, though, we'll talk about briefly after the results. It shapes out really well. I like it. I like the last place schedule. I like the opportunity to get a lot more wins next year. So that's just where it's at. I would love, cuz, to write about a winning team. It might be something I'd learn from because I don't think, outside of 2014, just as we were getting ready and revved up in the podcast, I've not written about positivity for the Lions in a long time. So to do it would be great. I think it would be received well. People love looking at the Lions and looking at everything going on with Dan Campbell. Victories? Oh my God. Before we look at and recap the Lions and the Falcons, how was your Christmas? Was it all good? Did you enjoy the day off?
Let's just put it this way. Christmas this year was Christmas this year. You were there on Christmas Eve, and I wasn't in a very good mood because my dad pissed me off just before I got there. Actually, just before I walked in, he pissed me off. Both Christmas with dad's side and Christmas with mom's side, both parents were lucky I didn't lose my shit and kept it all together. So it was good. It was good because I didn't end up screaming at anybody. But it's like, dude, it's like this. I don't know who I was explaining it to. I was telling somebody. I was like, it's like every 5 to 7 years, you have one of these Christmases where you just want to go off on everybody and tell everybody just to fuck off and kiss your ass. And if you can find the power and the willpower and the ability to not have that freak out moment, because you've seen it. I've been prone to those freak out moments in front of you. If you can find the ability to not do that, it makes your life easier in the long run. And it was just one of those Christmases. Like I'm not going to get into it now. I mean, you can talk off air about it, but it was just one of those Christmases where just kind of wanted to tell both my parents go fly a kite. And I really, honestly, I would have just been happier sitting on the couch waiting till AEW Dynamite came on late. What was that, Friday night, Saturday night? So, I mean, had football throughout the day. That was great, but, it's... Yeah, I get it. It's just one of those things, bro.
I get it. The social aspect of Christmas is what dominates a lot of therapy sessions because sometimes there are things you want to say, but you can't say it. You know that if you say it, it's going to cause things to escalate. So I understand. There are sometimes you just need to say some things, but you just sometimes want people to just understand without you having to beat them over the head with it. And I definitely understand the social challenges. And you and I kind of get in the same boat where we just deal with everything, we tolerate everything, we try to be the bigger person all the time, and then eventually we get to our wits' end and we just say, what the fuck is wrong with you? Why do you think like this? Why can't you just think like this? Why would you get this? Why would you do this? Why would you think in a million years I'd want to do this as opposed to this? Trust me, I understand that thinking. The problem is lately, I'm saying it. I'm just like, what the fuck is going on here? Why is this happening? Why? Like, the part that is funny is I'm doing the exact opposite of what I tell my clients, which is stay calm, stop and think. And then in my situation, I'm just like, why did you think this? Why did you think this would be an appropriate thing to say or do to me? Why would you think that getting something great for my wife and then giving me a tie is really something is special to me? That's not how this works. The balance of acceptance here has shifted to the other side here. It's like, wait a minute. Think about me. What about me? What about what I want? My needs.
Is that how that happened this year for you? Did you get a tie?
Oh man. Let me just say this. I'm very grateful all the time, but in the gift giving department, things were slacking and it went heavy toward the kids and heavy toward the wife. And, in my situation, it went towards like pajamas, socks, and ties. And I was like, man.
You don't even wear ties.
Exactly. That's the whole point of what you're like, there was really not a lot of thoughtfulness in regards to my situation, but it's fine. I didn't explode. Everything was cool.
You're better than me.
I kept my head. I laid low and just said, okay, it's going to be okay. It was a good year. I laughed and I told my wife, I said, you know what? I think this was a punishment because I spent a lot of money on myself this year. And I said, yeah, I probably, basically in the end, the best present I got was from a client, which is hilarious at the highest level. I'm very happy, grateful. She got me a picture of myself. You know how they got those boards that you can put pictures on?
Yeah.
She got a picture of me like animated on a desk with a camera, with a writing stencil, and it was sweet. I was like, this is so thoughtful. It was amazing. So I got it up on the wall in the office, and I'm like, man, you made me 30 pounds lighter. This is great. and I'm wearing a suit and tie. So I'll send you the picture. It was really cool. But in that front, I don't complain too much, but you'd like a little bit of thought. That's what I was thinking. Damn. Like everybody just went, I would have went better with gift cards. Nobody even took the time to get a gift card. They just went like way off radar with stuff that, and I'm easy. I'm an easy guy. I'm like, don't buy me clothes. And that's about it. That's the only no-no. And that was an abundance of what I got. So I was like, this is weird. It's a weird it was karmic in the nature of the gifts that I got. No gift cards and a bunch of clothes, which was really, really weird. But I'm grateful. I think it was a test, saying that, hey, you did take care of yourself this year. And moving forward, you just got to keep giving back, keep a level head. And sometimes maybe you do got to displace that anger, but just not to the intended target. Maybe you and I are good candidates. Maybe in the new year or mid-January, we'll go to one of those destroy rooms. We'll just take a bat and just destroy shit for like $50.
Dude,
did you ever do one of those?
No, never done one. Normally I'll just like find something that needs to get broken around the house, and I'll just go smash that.
Exactly. Yeah, we got to get up some pent-up frustration, so we'll figure it out in the new year. But yeah, kind of a cleanse. It was a good holiday. Look, I'm happy. It's the end of the year. Things slow down and everything like that. But in the world of sports, it kind of is in that neutral zone where hockey and basketball has been in flux because of COVID. College football is going on with a little bit of herky-jerkiness, with some bowls getting canceled, some getting played. The college football playoff so far looks to be a little bit let's start with that too, college football.
I was going to say, let's start there because
I'm excited for I'm excited for the playoff, bro. I'm excited to see it.
Well, I'm excited for the playoff too, but I'll be honest with you. Bowl season is one of the most exciting times as a sports fan. I love bowl season. I love watching a lot of teams that you don't get the chance to watch throughout the course of the year. You know, normally you're a Michigan State fan. I'm a Michigan fan. I tend to watch a lot of Big Ten football because that's where Michigan plays. That's where Michigan State plays. You kind of need to know your enemy so you can have an educated discussion about them. So I watch a ton of Michigan State, and a lot of Big Ten football. Every now and then, I'll take an ACC game in. I'll take in more SEC football than I do just about anything other than Big Ten football. But when bowl season rolls around, bowl season's great because you get to see different teams from a myriad of conferences go up against each other and play. And they get the spotlight. They get the spotlight for that day. You know, like, I don't watch a ton of MAC football. I think the most MAC football I watched was when I was producing and I was doing radio for MAC coverage, because when I was at 11:30, we had Broncos football, we had Western Michigan football. So I watched a ton of MAC football because I was doing the games. But other than that, I don't watch a ton of MAC football. I don't watch any Sun Belt football. I don't watch a lot of Mountain West football. I watch some Pac-12, but not a lot. I watch some Big 12. But other than that, you know, it's like I said, it's dominated by three major conferences, and that's the Big Ten, and then the SEC, and then probably the ACC. And when the bowl season rolls around, you have these teams that you are not very familiar with getting the spotlight for this one game. And it's great. It's awesome to take it in. It's awesome to watch. If you're a betting fan, it's a great time to basically bet on a bunch of different games, and with basically sports betting erupting like it has, and you can make prop bets on anything, like what color underwear is the running back wearing. You can make those bets now. Mm-hmm. Just download an app and it's all good. And this season, and I think it's just a lot to do with COVID. I think it has a lot to do with maybe my mental status where I'm at with the holidays. I'm not into bowl season, man. I'm absolutely not. You are seeing bowl games get canceled 15, 20 minutes before it's supposed to get underway, right, because teams can't field a team. And you're seeing other teams leave bowl games to go take higher stake bowl games because the payout's bigger. It's absolutely nuts to me. Like, Central Michigan was in a bowl game. They left that bowl game to go take another bowl game because the payout's bigger. Like, good for Central Michigan, but that is bananas to me. You've got a team that's been preparing for a couple of weeks now to take on one opponent, and in a matter of, 5-7 days, you've got to flip the entire script. Everything you've been preparing for, you got to throw it out the window, and you got to get on a plane, you got to get on a bus, you got to get onto something to get over to someplace else, and you gotta basically re-prepare in a condensed window. And to me, that is nuts, and it's all because the school is going to get a bigger cut of the money. Which, hey, if you're a school like Central, I get it, right? Like, you don't have your own football network. You don't bring in the money that a school like Michigan or Michigan State do, or even Ohio State or anybody else. But it's just been kind of bonkers watching bowl season unravel here.
But to the point, though, Central Michigan had an opportunity to make more money because their first opponent had issues with COVID. So they were like, so it wasn't like they said, oh, we're out. They waited until their hand was revealed, and Boise State, I believe, got caught with COVID. So they went on to something else, which is fine. I think it benefited, Central Michigan to move on from the brand that they were going to be affiliated with. It just made things complicated because you get in bed with that brand. It's fine. They're cool, but it also presents with it the other side that makes it really challenging. And you made more money, so you'd rather be on television than be streamed. Let's be honest.
For sure. Honestly, it just, Central Michigan was just a for example, because it was, it's relevant to the area and it was top of mind.
Absolutely. So it is crazy, though, that the COVID situation has affected bowl games. And to be honest, sometimes it's just a situation in which you're not going to put the kids at risk. Sometimes they just feel like it's not worth it. It's a glorified exhibition. They've already had the practices. Playing the game for some is just like, forget it. It's not worth it. The kids are not into it. If the vibe is not right, then the decision
that's
now.
The other thing too.
The vibe is not right, right? You get the feeling
that's the other thing too. You're seeing all these players also opt out.
Yes.
Like Ohio State is probably the leader of the pack here, where they've had a ton of guys just like, yeah, we're not playing in this game. Like, it's the Rose Bowl, man. Like, I don't know how you feel about the Rose Bowl, but for me, the Rose Bowl is probably the most special bowl game. Like, the college football playoff is going to be special to me because who knows if Michigan ever gets back here again, right? But the Rose Bowl specifically is the one game that I remember never missing as a child. Didn't matter what was going on. I threw a bachelor party, and I made sure we had TVs so we could watch Michigan play in the bowl game. So we could watch them play in the Rose Bowl. You know, it was one of those things where you had bootleg strippers dancing on people, and you had a TV in the distance with Michigan just getting a train ran on them. And at some point, those strippers were probably getting a train ran on them. It's whatever. It's neither here nor there. But that being said, the Rose Bowl was the most special bowl to me. It was held above all others. And to see teams basically having players just drop like flies and just being like, yeah, I'm opting out. I'm not playing this game. I'm going to go get ready for the NFL. That's bonkers to me, man. That is absolutely crazy to me. I never in a million years thought I would see that happen. And I think it has a lot to do with the college football playoff. There's so much emphasis put on the college football playoff where it's either college football playoff or bust is kind of what it feels like. And a lot of these guys are just kind of like, yeah, why am I going to risk it? I got my NIL money. I don't need to go there. I'm going to go play in the NFL. I'm going to make more money there. Why risk it? And it's to me, it seems like it is almost like a Twilight Zone. I never thought we would be at this place. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, it is. And then you see it. Ohio State says, well, we're out. Kenny Pickett in the game that I would love the most is not playing for Pitt, and Kenneth Walker opted out. So It makes it really tough. And my nugget is the Orange Bowl is the one among the highest in demand ticket price that there has ever been for an Orange Bowl. And I passively aggressively said to my wife, did you know that the Peach Bowl, it's the second lowest demanded ticket in Peach Bowl history, meaning that you probably could get into the Peach Bowl for $20. And I was like, honey, you didn't think that maybe just go down to Atlanta, give the kids away for a couple of days, we just drive down there for a day or two, spend New Year's there, and come back on a Saturday? You didn't think that for a second? Yeah, I asked a funny question. I said, did you look at ticket prices? She's like, no. I was like, okay, no problem. No, I'm like, did you know that Michigan State was in the Peach Bowl? She's like, no, I thought their season was done. And I was like, okay. Exactly, though. To the point, though, it makes it less intriguing for a game because in the end, when the perception becomes reality, the perception is meaningless. And in the end, it is. It's a game that it kind of counts. It's good for morale. But for me, I'm just happy they get to practice. You know what I mean? I'm happy. Do I really care? The question is, do I care what happens to Michigan State in this game? Not really. Not at all. Kenneth Walker's not going to be there. You hope the game goes off, but I want to see, did the secondary for the Spartans improve at all? Could Kenny Pickett take advantage of the secondary? You know, State's getting a little bit healthier. It's great to see, but basically the college football playoff has made it so that it's the two big games, the semifinals, and the rest are just pay attention at your own leisure for the team that you support. It's not that big a deal, not emphasized. And maybe I'm leaning toward maybe before I was opposed to it, but now seeing how easy it is to be dismissed, maybe you open it up to eight teams. And that way you could have maybe starting this week, like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, a week of bowl games that can get you ready because, to see the low attendance at the Quick Lane Bowl, to see the lack of interest has just been really disappointing. And I'm not really interested, to be honest, in the Peach Bowl all that much. I will watch passively, but I'm not going to be as enthralled as I will be when I plop down on Friday to watch Michigan take on Georgia. And the big storyline so far has been, relatively speaking, everybody's healthy from Georgia and Michigan. Michigan 100% boosted. I think they're doing it right. But unfortunately, whispers have started to kind of come out regarding Daxton Hill. What's his status going to be? They do have a little bit of depth in that I don't think Michigan is going to be terribly concerned. if Daxton Hill is not available. But as of this recording, Michigan has been ho-hum silent, dead silent in regards to Daxton Hill. And I think Jim Harbaugh will address it by the time this comes out. But at this point in time, I think it's a game-time decision regarding Daxton Hill. So I think that is the first little sign of COVID hitting Michigan. But by and large, this game's going to go off, and it's coming, baby. 1 day away, it's Michigan-Georgia in the playoff, and I'm excited for it.
I'm excited for it, too. And I already kind of laid out that why, like part of the reason why. Michigan might never get back here.
Yeah.
Michigan State got here one time. It was an interesting season for Michigan State. It was a great season for Michigan State, and they haven't been able to duplicate that, not yet anyways. And I think at some point they may, but it's one of those things where it is extremely difficult if you are in the Big Ten East, right? You've got to contend with the likes of Ohio State, the likes of Michigan State, the likes of Michigan, the likes of Penn State. You know, you've got to deal with some real big boys here who can wear the big boy pants and can kick your ass every single week. And it becomes incredibly difficult because you've got to win the Big Ten East, then you've got to go win the Big Ten championship, which could be a chore all in of its own, depending on what, you know, a team like what a team like Wisconsin's going to put out there, a team like Iowa is going to put out there. If Purdue is having a really good season, you know, it's with the West, it's kind of a roll of the dice. But all that being said, you got to go through a gauntlet for 12 weeks. You gotta strap on your helmet and you've got to play your best football to get to a chance to play with the big boys. And look, I think Michigan has a fantastic shot in this game. I've thought since day one this is a matchup Michigan can win. I would have liked Michigan to play Cincinnati. And I think if Michigan played Cincinnati, they'd have a better shot. But I think this is a matchup that the Wolverines can win. I think that Georgia hasn't played anybody all season. The one time they did play somebody, they got their pants pulled down and they were embarrassed. I think Georgia does have a pretty good defense. But again, it's hard to really tell what that defense is when you haven't really played anybody. And I think their offense can be stymied. I think it can be shut down. That being said, not having Dax Hill, if Michigan's going to be without him, that's going to definitely hurt. It's going to be a bit of a struggle for the Wolverines because I think the strength of Georgia lies a lot in their wide receiving corps. All that being said, I think you've got two teams that are pretty closely mirror images of each other. Both of them lean on their defenses. Both of them have offenses that can strike and will put points on the board. Michigan likes to run the ball. I think Michigan likes to run the ball a lot more than you have with Georgia. Georgia tends to lean more on Bennett, who's their quarterback, and hitting plays down the field. Bowers is their big wide receiver, Brock Bowers. So this is going to be a good game. This is going to be a fun game. If I was a betting man, and we know I don't necessarily bet on anything, I would take Michigan. I'd take the points. I'd take Michigan, and I would take Michigan to at least cover, but I do think Michigan wins this. I think it's an incredibly close game, and I think Michigan wins this game by maybe 3 points. I mean, am I absolutely batshit crazy here to think that the best in the Big Ten can go on and defeat a juggernaut from the SEC like Georgia?
Yeah,
play in the national championship game.
Michigan has proven all year that they can compete. They've proven a lot of people wrong. Obviously, the thing that's most concerning is the speed of Georgia. Their wideouts, can they hit the big play? Obviously, the thing that you want to be mindful of is Cade McNamara might be called upon in this game to make a couple key third down throws that you got to convert. If you get I think the key is going to be this key stats, not going to be rushing, not going to be pressure on Georgia. I think the key stats going to be third down conversions. How many extra first downs do you get to keep the ball to potentially run the football to control the game? If you're off the field on third down, if Cade McNamara can't make that third down throw, then I think you're going to have a long day because Georgia can legit handle business on both the offensive line and defensive front. Now, where are they better? I think they're better on defense. I think that the defensive line can do some things. I don't see Michigan running a whole heck of a lot early successfully. But I think that Michigan has a couple game wreckers in the tight ends, in Schoonmaker and Aiden Hutchinson. I think the combination of Hutchinson and Ojabo can potentially wreak havoc and really make it a long day. So for Michigan, my opinion will be if you convert a high percentage of third down and you keep it manageable, I absolutely would not be shocked if this game went back and forth and if Michigan didn't come out on top. I think they have a chance. They want to prove people wrong. It kind of has a little bit of a feel of like a team of destiny kind of situation, a team that's peaking, and I just want to see what an extra month working with this coaching staff will do. I hope that coaching staff give credit to McDonald and to Josh Gaddis for putting together what has been a stellar season on the coaching front and everything going on. So I can't wait to see the matchup. But I think, too, Cade McNamara, you can't make those mistakes. You make that mistake, you miss reads, going to the wrong wideout, tossing the ball, in spots that could be potentially dangerous. I hope it's not one of those things where a tip ball turns it over late. I hope it's not a bad call situation. I feel like Michigan's going to travel very well down there. A large contingency is going to support Michigan, and it's going to be a fun afternoon. The problem is, I was hoping, I didn't notice until Wednesday afternoon, it's a 7:30 kick. Mm-hmm. You know what that means? That means at a slow pace, this game's going to end at 11:30. Yep. It kills the party vibe. What do? It does. It kills the party vibe because you're gripping. And for Michigan fans, there's a lot of them. If they're there watching wherever I go or if I stay home, then potentially it's going to be a buzzkill if Michigan loses. So I wish it would have been the first game, but I guess it's not. So you got to wait. And so for the Michigan supporters, buckle up. You got to wait before you see the Orange Bowl.
Do you think that this game's going to come down to Cade McNamara? Is it all going to rest on his shoulders and how he performs?
No, I think Jim Harbaugh and Gaddis will protect him. A lot of short passes, a lot of what they've been doing, a lot of handoffs, a lot of tight end stuff. I think that why change what's been working? I think you might have some trickeration, but I definitely want to see how the young players perform, how everything goes on. So it's going to be fun. I think it's going to be very, very, very fun to see how Cade McNamara performs. I don't think he's going to have undue pressure on him. He's been through this before. I think playing Ohio State gave everybody confidence that, hey, we can do it. The extra practice has helped. I think they got the things in place, and it's going to be fun, man. It's going to be a slobber knocker. So Jake Butt predicted it's going to be a 3 to 4 point win for Michigan. I can't wait to see it. So final prediction, Cuz, who you got?
I got Michigan winning it. Right. Like I said, I think it's going to be a close game. I think the way this one ends up shaking out, I think it'll be 32-28, the Wolverines.
Oh, 32-28. Ooh, high scoring game. Okay, I could see it more in the 20s, in the neighborhood of 27-24 Michigan. Give them the ball late. Let them drive it. Let them have some fun with it and things like that. So I think it's a game in the 20s, and we'll see how it goes. Let's see if Georgia has a disrespect card. Let's see if they're the team to beat, if they're for real or not in the SEC. I think it's great. Big Ten SEC. It's kind of a litmus test. Where does your program stand in terms of the big dogs? It's good to be in the arena with Ohio State. It's great, but this is big time. It's Georgia, Alabama, big time stuff here. So Michigan State got their ass kicked. This might be a different situation where I think Michigan will be a lot more competitive in this contest. All right, switching gears finally to look at the Detroit Lions and the home stretch here for them. I'm curious because it was a game that for me at the end when Tim Boyle tossed that interception, I was like, no, for like maybe 45 seconds. And then I said, you know what? Professional loss. Okay, no big deal. It was a good game. It went by so fast. I was doing a couple other things during the game. That first half was really boring and tough. It was like a game you watched in the background for me. I was writing and stuff, but I really didn't hunker down and focus until the second half. I was getting stuff ready, and it was such a game that went back and forth late in the game. The first half was really dull, and it was really interesting, the dynamic to watch the Lions play that way. But without Goff, you had a feel it was going to be a loss. I think five out of the 6 writers predicted the Lions to lose, and it shook out that way. I felt like the big decision that maybe caught your attention was the decision by Dan Campbell late in the game to not go for the 4th down, to kick the field goal, which we've asked him to do before, and he said he decided to do it, take the points. his defense did indeed bail him out. Jalen Reeves-Maven got the football out and got the football back to the offense. And in a game where you had so many situations happen, you lost another tight end. Amani Arawarie was not there. You kept it close and you didn't get blown out. So I think it is a moral victory. I think it's a professional loss. I'm not terribly concerned about not going for it. If Tim Boyle could not have just dotted the opponent with the football, then you had a chance. I think that Dan Campbell, which I think the honesty this week might have been telling. I don't know how much you paid attention to the pressers this week, but Tim Boyle said after the game, he said, I was truly confused by whether it was man zone, and I made a mistake. And Dan Campbell on Monday came out and said, yeah, I should have had the running backs kind of go in motion to absolutely lock into Tim Boyle what it was. Boyle got confused. He was inexperienced. He didn't exactly know what defense the Falcons were in. But unfortunately, he dotted the linebacker with the football. He threw it right to him. So I think the emphasis of blame goes on Tim Boyle. The game was won. You're driving the football. The one thing you can't do is toss the football right to the opponent. So I think the blame majority goes to Tim Boyle as opposed to Dan Campbell.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to blame Tim Boyle here for this as well. But look, the 4th and 5 call seemed to kind of, again, split the fan base, fractured it almost. And I'll be honest with you, as this game was going on, it didn't necessarily bother me that he went for it on 4th and 5. I did when he went for it. I was like, or when he kicked the field goal, I was like, why doesn't he go for it here? I did stop and I did raise that question. And I was like, this is interesting because there's not a lot of time left. And I looked at the timeouts and I was like, I factored in the 2-minute warning, and you factor all those things in. He basically has 3 stoppages on the clock. So I'm like, all right, what this is telling me is this guy believes in this defense. And I think as you look at kind of how the season has unfolded, and especially this second half of the season, Dan Campbell trusts this defense. Dan Campbell believes in this defense. And I think you should. This defense has shown up, and this defense has looked really, really good in some really bad spots that the offense has put it in. But not going for it on 4th and 5 and choosing to kick the field goal with, I think it was under 3 minutes left, having 2 timeouts and the 2-minute warning. What that told me was Dan Campbell absolutely believes this defense is going to be able to stop Matt Ryan and the Atlanta Falcons. And he was right. He was proved right. You said he got bailed out. I think he was just proven right by what took place. I think this game right here, I think there was a lot of good in this game. I think there was a lot of good that you can take out of this loss. And I think some of that good that you can take out of it is, one, Dan Campbell knows exactly what he has with this defense, and he knows how to push all the right buttons with it. On top of it, he's got no problem putting the game in their hands. When was the last time you can say that you had a Detroit Lions coach who believed so much so in his defense that he had no problem putting the game in their hands when they had to get the ball back? I think the last time you could probably say that was maybe that 2014 defense. That was a good defense. That was a really good defense. That defense had I think Cliff Averill and Ndamukong Suh on it. You had DeAndre Levy, who was just coming into his own as he was on the verge of, let's be honest, becoming an elite linebacker in the league. Never really did obtain it, but he had a hell of a season that season. So I think you have to go back 7 years to find a defense where a coaching staff actually believed in that defense. And then you look at the rest of the game and you just kind of dissect it and you really boil it down. The Detroit Lions went on the road to a team that has playoff aspirations. The Atlanta Falcons, no matter what you think of them, the Atlanta Falcons are still in the playoff hunt. The Atlanta Falcons are still vying for a playoff spot. All right? And you went on the road in their house. You took on a MVP quarterback, a guy who's played in a Super Bowl, and you took on a pretty dynamic offense that Arthur Smith runs. And you almost won this game with a backup quarterback. And not just any backup quarterback, right? Like Tim Boyle is like the last quarterback that you'd want. There are third string starters or third string quarterbacks in the league that you would take before you would take Tim Boyle. And then let me break this down for you, okay? So you've got your 1 through 32, right? All of your starting quarterbacks. But then you dig a little bit deeper and you're like, all right, I mean, you'd probably take Justin Fields, obviously, Andy Dalton, that's just in Chicago, but they also have a third-string quarterback in Nick Foles that you would take over Tim Boyle. There's a guy over playing for the Giants in Mike Glennon you'd probably take. Mike White's had a better season than Tim Boyle has. You've got Geno Smith, who's put up some pretty decent numbers this season. Josh Johnson played a pretty good game this past week. Cooper Rush is a guy who's won a game as a backup. Drew Lock you would probably take. There's a million other quarterbacks that are backups that you would take, and you almost won the game with this guy. Factor in all of the injuries that you had. Everybody being out. Factor all of that in. This was a good loss because Dan Campbell basically took a deck of cards that were stacked against him and he almost won. On top of all that, you keep your draft pick status. And honestly, you almost moved up in the draft because Jacksonville was tricking around and almost won a game. So I think this was a good loss. I think there's a lot that you can take out of it. And I think if you are a fan of Dan Campbell, this is a good game for you. This is something you can pin your hat on and say, yes, this is good. This is a good coach. We got something here.
The one thing I'll bitch about, and it's a legitimate bitch, please, can you figure out the snap count and can you figure out the stop false starting? Because it has the potential to remind you of when Jim Caldwell would go on discipline, when Jim Schwartz would go on discipline. The Lions, when they're not tight, they're not tight. I'm talking about like back-to-back false starts, fourth down, key situation, 4th and inches. Everybody, what happens is, and I love the Lions fan base and the Twitter world and kind of how things start to swing. It's like they forget history and they say, let's just highlight all the positives and never address any of the negatives. Okay, remember, this is a coach that has everybody saying, oh, they're playing hard. They're playing hard. Well, what's a sign of playing hard? It's fucking paying attention. Understanding that, hey, we need to know the communication at this point so that we can run the play properly on 4th down. Okay, now, I think this fan base is going to gloss over the lack of attention to details and just blame it on talent, which is fine. Okay, but I'll say this. My job is to be the voice of reason and to bring up the fact that, hey, history suggests that discipline is very, very important to pay attention to. How does a team play on 4th down? How does a team, how many penalties on the road does a team take? And when you go 6, I think, false starts in a game, that's fucked up.
That's not good.
That's not good. No, so this team is not exactly as disciplined as it needed to be. And this line, I know Frank Ragnow's gone, but you still have Big V, you still have Sewell, you still have Taylor Decker and Jonah Jackson, who made a critical mistake, and he's a second-year guy that's got to step up more moving forward. So I love the narratives that popped out. And I'll say this, just to veer off just a second. I love the fact that this fan base extrapolated, shit, this team's playing hard. We're going to the playoffs, baby. This is good. I'm like,
look, I never said that. I didn't say it.
No, I'm saying the fan base, but I'm online and I get the gist of what people are saying. This fan base is like, well, at least they're not punching the shit out of each other on the sidelines. At least they're not punching the coaches. They like each other. They're having a good time.
Did you see that? Did you see that on the Sunday night game? What did you make of that?
Oh, I loved it. It generates more page views than half the Shoot the Line stuff does. People love to see their team. People love fights. You know, of course, you're not supposed to point your finger at anybody's face. You don't point your finger in a grown man's face. You're going to get slapped. You're going to get hit. So people have extrapolated that. You know what? This team looks like it tries. This team looks like they're having fun. There's no real reports of any, bitching in the locker room. Well, guys, we can't go in the locker room. They can bitch to each other, and it's not getting out. You know, Dan Campbell is not telling any of his players to, hey, SSD and anything like that. He's just like, do your thing. Of course he's going to have a little rough edges to him. Remember, he was around Bill Parcells, who would use psychological games. But the thing is that Campbell has the credibility of being a player, and he genuinely is a straight to the point person. I think players respect that.
And I think players respect that and
right
appreciate
to the point.
That.
No bullshit. And I think Matt Patricia, I think his problem was not being mean. Football players can like it, but when you're maybe acting a certain way to Trey Flowers and then a different way with Darius Slay, who's not your guy, you're going to piss off half of the locker room. So I think that's where the disconnect happened. I think Dan Campbell is straightforward and honest with everybody. It's now incumbent upon Brad Holmes to get him talent. But you can't extrapolate that the Lions are on their way. Here they come, baby. You got to kind of look at it like Amon-Ra St. Brown was good. You got a running game. You got an O-line. The beginnings are there. But you still got to hit on your 6-7 draft picks next year. You still got to hit in free agency. Otherwise, you're just going to go from 2 wins to 5 wins. The schedule's nice. It's easy. But you're still playing the Jets, who might be revamped with a second-year quarterback who's making a jump. The Dolphins, who in one of the wildest years ever had a 7-game losing streak and now have followed up with the 7-game winning streak to get to 8-7, I believe. So you look at it and you say, hey, wait a minute. The schedule is good in regards to the opportunities, but it can go south real quick. You don't think the Panthers can beat your ass up with one player in Christian McCaffrey if he's healthy? You don't think the Seahawks could revamp? You could be looking at just a 4 or 5 win season next year if it goes off the rails. And for me, I cannot ever extrapolate the success or failure of a team until I see the quarterback. And if this team goes into next year with Goff, Boyle, and Blau again, get out of here, bro. You just said it. We deserve a lot better. And Blau and Boyle, just you can move on. I think Boyle only got a 1-year deal. I think you saw enough to say, hey, let's move on from him. You need more experience. I think that you let him move on and you let him test the market and say, hey, good, thank you for the service you did this year. But if you're going to continue with a new OC and Tim Boyle, I don't know. He didn't show enough for me to move it forward, and Blau can't get in the game, so that shows you what
I was going to say. Do you think, I think, in my estimation, Tim Boyle is a better quarterback than David Blau.
Yeah, he is.
And it's not saying a lot.
Raw. He's raw. He needed like an XFL year, a USFL year. He needed like 2 more years of development. We got a quarterback that's tossed 50 balls. In his career, and off-season's not going to do it. You're still looking at a second-year guy that's still in a first-year mode. Mm-hmm. So Tim Boyle is not the answer. And Goff, look, I love the great talk now about Goff being built around and stuff like that. Look, guys, yes, you can build around Goff. Yes, you can have success. Yes, he can toss the ball deep. But no, his lack of mobility did not magically go away in crunch time. When teams that have a defensive coordinator that's worth a darn, they're going to pressure Jared Goff, and then he's going to revert to check down Charlie. You guys have to realize what you need is a combination of Jared Goff and Lamar Jackson in one player. So go out and find that guy that can, whenever the pocket breaks down, make a play. And something that was said, and I don't know how much you listen, but I listen every week. It's an amazing interview. It's so fun, and it's so light. Pat McAfee spends 30 minutes to an hour with Aaron Rodgers every week. And they bro it up and they talk and stuff like that. But they got into a deep discussion about quarterbacks on Tuesday. So really watch it. It was an hour this week. It was so good. And he said, because they talked about, I think Rodgers broke the quarterback passing touchdown record, I think, of the Packers over the weekend. And he said, he's like, what allows, and they were talking about Matt LaFleur and being underrated as a coach because of all the wins he has. And he said, what allows Matt LaFleur to be creative and to have success as a play caller is that when a play doesn't exactly go right, there's improvisation that can happen to make the play happen. He's like, the difference between a quarterback that can be around for 20 years and one that's not going to have success and one that's not going to last is the ability, when it's not perfect, to improvise and create in a way that will keep the football moving. And that's where Jared Goff lacks the most. Is that if an opponent's defense can stymie him, you can shut him down like that because he finds pressure. He's not that mobile in certain situations. So at different times, I'm curious to see how much passing he's going to do next year because you legit could have 3 to 4 running backs that could get you 100 yards if the offensive line stays healthy. So for me, I'm not still in the camp that says, oh my God, let's keep Goff. Keep him for next year. Figure it out. But to me, and I said it, I think to Vito in passing, 2022, and I think it'll show up in a video on SI All Lions. In 2022, it's the ultimate final test for Jared Goff. show us what you got. He's going to have pieces. I know they're going to get number one wideout. They're going to build further on defense. Next year is the ultimate 17-game test for the career of Jared Goff. Show me what you got. This year's a wash. You can see something there. But for me, next year, take the reins, understand the offense, handle your shit, and prove to people why they need to pay you $25 million a season or more to stay. Because if you don't, if you have a 5-12 season next year, the fans will love it. It's a 100% increase. Yeah. But for me, it'll say, okay, you need a new quarterback and you've wasted 2 years because the heat's going to start picking up. It was at a 1 this year. Very few complain. You got a handful of people complaining about the play calls. But next year, with that schedule, it can go south real fast. It's nice. It's not terrible. It's a last place schedule, but there's room for a lot of things to go south real fast if the Lions don't rebound and play well at the quarterback position. So I'm excited to see it. It's winding down. Seattle, I think it's a loss still. I think Goff maybe is not going to play. It's day to day with a knee injury still. So I hope that it's another loss. Finish the year out, loss. And let's get to the end of the year. Let's get to the review. Because in a couple weeks, Brett Holmes will talk. We'll start to look at the future. And we can put this year behind us because there wasn't much of anything in the win-loss column.
I agree with you 100%. I mean, look, I think Seattle's still a loss. And it'll be interesting what happens with that Green Bay game. But right now, I'm counting that as a loss, depending on who your quarterback's going to be. I find it really weird that we both agree the season's done. You're not really playing for anything. You're playing for pride at this point. Yet, you're going to keep DeAndre Swift off IR. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Save the tread on the guy's tires. It's been proven that he does have a ton of nagging injuries that always seem to build up. I don't think he's made it through a complete season healthy. So why bother playing him? You should probably just IR him, end his season, and let's just keep moving. See what else you have. See what you really have with Craig Reynolds. Give him 1,000 touches. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? At this point in the season, we're counting Seattle as a loss. I'm going to count Green Bay as a loss until we really know what's going on with that game, and we won't know what the hell's going on with that game until probably just before kickoff of week, 18. So it's one of those things where, I don't know. Like you said, there was zero pressure on this season. We just wanted to see growth from the players, wanted to see growth from the coaching staff, wanted to know that we actually had a coach who knew how to do things. I think at this point, we're good. I see a coach who has the pulse of the room. Guys want to play for him. I think he's come 1,000% better as a play caller than where he started at the beginning of the year. I don't think he's great, but I think he's much more improved. I still need to see better in-game situational control of the football game, but for the most part, I think we've seen what we needed to see for this year. I'm not saying what I'm basically telling you is just pack it in for the next 2 years.
Pack it in. Let's get to the end of the year, January 9th, Ford Field. Let's hopefully get a chance to see Aaron Rodgers do some things because any opportunity to see him play is a treat for sure. Loss, lose, handle your business. Professional loss. Don't get your tail kicked in. Tighten up the false starts. Run the football well, and let's see what happens. Let's see if there's a snow game. Let's see if Dan Campbell gets into a situation in which you got to run the football time after time and what the kit distribution is going to be. I want to see it. I want to see how that looks and to see who the starting quarterback is going to be. Make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSGROZ. Follow the network at Detroit Podcast. Want to thank Dan Campbell for making this year of podcasting and the Lions absolutely enjoyable. A very unique head coach who spits it, keeps it real. I think his energy and the fact that Stafford got traded just really helped the podcast ride the momentum in talking about the Lions all year long. I want to make sure to thank everybody involved with the podcast that helps get this on the air, those that help promote it, you specifically for the work you put in. I know you're reading. I know you're trying diligently to research and sound as smart as absolutely you do and as passionate as you are about Detroit sports. Again, make sure you follow Adam on Twitter at AdamRSGROZ. And the last thing I'll bring up, which was funny, because this is somebody that was, I believe, close to you who followed your show in the past, has followed us quite a bit. Sometimes I think people lack the ability to read context in the tweets that we write, okay? An individual named Riley saw that I said that, someone had posted that Jim Caldwell, the love for him that's brought up is just being debated heavily, and it's kind of swung back a little bit toward the negative side, those that said we peaked with Jim Caldwell. And so somebody had said, oh my God, I can't believe I just want this Jim Caldwell bit to die. Well, I don't know where that bit came from. Detroit Sports Podcast. But I wanted to say that, okay, listen, I put a tweet out that said, I think this Lions team would have won 9 games with Jim Caldwell. Okay, I need you guys to realize, if it absolutely sounds retarded and ridiculous, okay, I'm being sarcastic. Just assume that. Or if you believe I think it, don't come out and tweet me and say, I can't believe you repeated a dumb take that all the journalists are calling a dumb take. I addressed it. I broke kayfabe for this individual and said, look, I was trolling by saying that. I picked 9 wins because the Lions said 9 wins isn't good enough. Come on, guys, read the room, follow along. If you believe that the take is real, just ask, do you really believe this? And I'll come out and say, no, I don't believe that Jim Caldwell would win 9 games, okay? What I love is 55 people that tweet me and go, no, this and that. When I posted the next tweet where I said, well, maybe he could have won 11 games. At that point, did that not cue to you that I'm being ridiculous and fucking around? I use the page to fuck around and joke. I don't take this shit seriously. The first sentence on our Twitter page says entertainment. The shit is not the shit. And so then I put, if you really know me, I love Jim Caldwell. And the reason I love Jim Caldwell is when he shows up as a topic, people want to talk about it. And in my world, that is beautiful. If you bring it up and people want to talk about it, I will engage in that debate. So I will give you my real feelings. I would have loved to have seen Jim Caldwell stay just to see if he would have had one breakthrough year with the Lions like Jim Harbaugh did, if they built around him and things like that. But unfortunately, you can't have that debate really in real life because the Lions brought in somebody that wanted to bring in his own guy. I think that Caldwell could have had one run to the NFC title game in his tenure. Would some of the warts been there? Yes. Did I think he peaked? No. I think there was maybe one more rung he could have got to. And I think that's where the story lies, is that the Lions were fine to say 9-7 wasn't good enough. At the same time, it's not good to then go backwards, because then idiots like me will just come back and say, why don't you keep Jim Caldwell? 9-7 sounds pretty damn good, doesn't it? And that's the essence of sports.
This is what's funny.
It's funny, right?
Yeah, the whole bit was hilarious. But if you listen to this show long enough, even when Jim Caldwell was the head coach, I think like 2 seasons before he got fired, we were on this same exact platform saying, you're going to have to find somebody else. Like, yes. He's basically Rick Carlisle. He's good enough to get you to this point, but he's not going to get you over the hump.
We were the first to say, let him go.
Yeah.
Remember Dungeon of Doom? We were screaming like, hey, this guy's not fighting hard enough. The same mistakes are popping up. You can't get 9-10 men on the field. So all I'm asking is, calling me stupid and trying to take away the platform from me is retarded at this point. You know why? I'm already here. The bit's out of the bag. I'm already trolling. I got a job with a national company doing this. So I'm not going anywhere. Does that make any sense? Challenge me. We have a great audience that challenges me and says, no, this would have happened, da-da-da-da. We got enough of those. But we still got a handful of people that don't understand sarcasm and that want to call me dumb. Because you're responding to me. And to be honest, I said that to the person. When you write that, it helps. It's sick. It's sick. I should have been ignored by now. But at this point, I've recognized in my position that in the sports world, bringing up stuff that's controversial engages debate. And that's the job of anybody that's in this, is to get people interested. There's not crickets. I'm happy. And there's enough people that will respond to keep this going. But that's all I want, is to just think a little bit. just ask, do I really believe this? Because it made no sense that the guy that I'm responding to somebody else and throwing out a ridiculous take. It just sounds ridiculous, and it was funny to write. It was funny to answer. I broke kayfabe for a minute. I might not do it anymore. I might just go on and just be, like I said, go on with the idea of then when someone challenges me is then to sound even more ridiculous because it's funny. It's entertaining. But the idea is this. I only want one person, really, two people. I only want, okay, two people to respect me, and that's Vito and that's Adam. Everybody else, I could give a flying fuck what they think about me. I'm already here. I already broadcast. We already own a podcast network. We already lasted longer than everybody else. So to call me out is ridiculous at this point in time. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm a loudmouth. I can turn on a microphone with my cousin anytime we want. So with that, I'll say thank you guys for the debate. Thank you for the challenges that you guys present. But really, at the end of the day, I hope you realize I'm just trying to be funny. Break kayfabe one more time here for those that listen. No, Kim Kardashian's not texting my phone. No, Dan Campbell doesn't message me when I message him back. Okay? That's called a bit. And I love the bits that radio and podcasting can produce. It's fun. It's coming from my brain. And it makes it funny for me to break some levity in a stressful job I have, to come on and rile it up a little bit. And I thank you guys for following along with me over the last 7 years with me and Adam. As we rant and rave and do therapy with each other, it makes it fun. It makes it so that we can have fun memories. But, bottom line, it's entertainment. And I entertain myself. And I think if you follow us, I think we're a good follow to be entertained, to laugh, and to scratch your head and go, what the fuck is that guy tweeting? 110,000 tweets. Maybe 2 of them have been serious. At best. Thank you, cuz. I love doing this. Like I said, I could do this for 2-3 hours. It's the highlight of my week. I shared my schedule. I put 2 things on it this week. A meeting and a podcast with you. And on a vacation, that will always be the case, is I'll make room to podcast and shoot the shit with my guy, Adam, the Jock Strozinski. Thanks, cuz. Let's rock it in 2022, baby, as we trek towards 500 broadcasts. I love doing this, man. Happy New Year.